Hey guys, it's Alex. I'm back to talk to you today about what I have on my January TBR list. I have quite a few books for the month of January, but I also have quite a bit of downtime this month. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get to all of them. If not all of them, then most of them. We'll see how the month plays out. So let's just jump right into what I'm going to read this month. The first book I'm reading in January is Finnegan of the Rock by Melina Marchetta. It is a young adult fantasy novel that follows the story of Finnegan and his people from the kingdom of Lumitir. Basically, when Finnegan was a young boy, the kingdom of Lumitir was taken over by an imposter king, and they haven't been able to go back since because of a curse that was put on the kingdom. So it follows Finnegan and his people 10 years later as they try to regain control of the kingdom. And there's a lot of different characters that you'll meet throughout his journey and travels, and it is a phenomenal story so far. I only have a little over 100 pages left in this, so I'm hoping to either finish it up tonight or tomorrow. The book is a trilogy. I'm really enjoying it so far, so most likely I'll go out and buy the second one and give that a shot some point later in the year. I don't have any concrete plans set for the second one yet, and I'll talk more about it in my monthly wrap-up. The next book I'm planning on reading this month is a classic, and if you watch my last video, you'll know that I have a few books I plan on reading in 2018 that are classics that I haven't read yet, or that are rereads. There were a few rereads on that list, but this one I have not read before, and it is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. It is the story of Dorian Gray. From what I understand about the book, he sells his soul for eternal youth and beauty, and I believe a photograph of him starts to age instead of his actual body. So I'm super excited to read this. I have not read it yet, and since I've been in the mood to read some classics, I actually may pick this one up next after I finish Finnegan of the Rock. Another book I plan on reading this month is Hunger, a Memoir of My Body by Roxane Gay. I've had this book on my shelf for a while. I got it in one of my Book of the Month boxes a few months ago, I believe, and it's just kind of been sitting there staring at me. So I'm really looking forward to checking this out. I've heard nothing but good things about it. Basically, it's Roxane Gay's memoir, and it follows her story of dealing with eating habits and being overweight. So it's one of my top books on my TBR for the month. I'm super pumped to read this, and I'll let you know how it is in my wrap-up. The next book on my January TBR is another book that is at the top of my list for the month, and that is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I wanted to read this in 2017. I was pretty sad that I didn't get to it, but I actually just bought this book, I think last month. I bought it the middle of December, so I haven't had it for that long, but again, I've heard nothing but good things about this. This is the story about a girl named Star and the seemingly two conflicting communities that she lives in, both in the poor Black community where she lives, and then also the fancy prep school that she attends. And in this story, her best friend is shot and killed by a police officer, and it tells of her just dealing with this and kind of reconciling things within the communities that she's a part of. I love books that make you think, and I think this is going to be a very important read. I have very high expectations of this book, so I can't wait to read it. It's definitely at the top of my January TBR. The next book on my January TBR I'm only going to read if I have time for it, but this is just more of a fun read, and it's Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater. I have not read any of her books, and I just bought the first book in the Raven Cycle, which I am very excited to read those. However, I wanted to read this trilogy first, and I got all three of these books super cheap in a box set recently, so I'm going to check this out. It follows the story of a girl named Grace, and a boy in her town is killed by a pack of wolves, I believe, and Grace becomes very intrigued with this wolf pack. So it seems like a fun read. It's a young adult fantasy, young adult, middle grade maybe, fantasy book, And yeah, so like I said, only if I have time am I going to read this. So those are all the books I have planned on my January TBR. However, there's one more thing I wanted to mention that I may read if I have the time, and I may have the time because I don't have a lot going on this month. So Emma Books is doing a reread of the Shadowhunter novels, and I think it would be a great thing to do just to kind of get more involved in the book community, because there's a lot of people that are going to be reading and or rereading these books. So in 2017, I read the entire Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. First book being City of Bones, and that is what is on the Shadowhunters Read for the month. And I'm so torn if I want to do this reread or not, and I need some advice. Are any of you guys doing this? Because I just read all these books, but I also wanted to read more of the Shadowhunter novels, and I enjoyed these. I did. I had some problems with like the teenage drama and relationships, but aside from that, I loved the Shadowhunter world, so I wanted to give these another shot and read them again. So I need some advice. I don't know if I should take part in this or not, because that's a big commitment to reread 6 books that I just read last year. However, eventually I did want to reread them. So yeah. So that is all of the books on my January TBR. There is a lot of them. I have no idea if I will get through all of these or not. I'm hoping to at least get through the 4 that I really want to, and then from there we'll see what happens. But yeah, there's a lot of books here. This is a big stack. I'm gonna drop these. But when I had these all on my shelf earlier, I noticed I have a very like red, black, and white theme going on with these, which was totally unintentional, but yeah, guess it's pretty cool. So yeah, but thank you so much for watching, and hit the thumbs up, subscribe below, let me know what you're reading this month, and yeah, definitely give me your opinion on what I should do about this Shadowhunter reread, because I have no idea.